take on the San Diego Padres. Pitching for New York tonight, left-hander Sid Fernandez, who is 5-8 with an ERA of 2.75. And going for the Padres, it's left-hander Mark Thurman, 6-7 with an ERA of 3.89.
Well, hi, everybody. I'm Ralph Kiner, along with Tim McGarver and Steve Zabriskie, and a very happy Labor Day to you back there in New York and all around on satellite. And it's the Mets against the San Diego Padres. The Mets are in second place, 2 games back of the St. Louis Cardinals, who incidentally are losing 4-1 in the 9th inning to the Cincinnati Reds. And the San Diego Padres in the race. They are 6 games back with the Dodgers. And, Tim, should be a very interesting evening.
It really should. And hard luck pitcher Sid Fernandez on the mound for the Mets. He's 5-8 this year. And over his last 2 games, I guess it's been typical of the type season that he's having. He has given up only 4 earned runs. He left 1 game trailing 2-0 against the Padres, and 1 game he lost 2-1 against the Los Angeles Dodgers. So all the Mets really need to do for Sid, it would seem, is get him a couple of runs and let him work with it. He really hasn't had the lead that many times when he's been pitching this year.
He has had no luxury at all. He leads the major leagues in strikeouts per 9 innings average at over 10. Right now, though, let's go down to Steve Zabriskie and his special guest.
Thanks, Ralph, and hi, everybody. Well, yesterday, Keith Hernandez got almost an entire day off, but fortunately for the Mets, not a whole day off, as he came off the bench in the 9th to hit that dramatic game-winning home run. Well, Keith knows that the rest are going to be few and far between from here on out, because with the Mets involved in a pennant race, he's going to be one guy who's called on a great deal to carry the load down the stretch.
Well, you know, this is the time of year now where you got to go to your horses, and if you are physically or mentally tired, you got to go to the whip and kick it and get something extra. You got all winter to rest. We got 33 games left. 5 weeks is not that much left. You got all winter to rest. You got to go and find something and kick it and reach back and for the stretch.
You have not throughout your career pinch hit very often, and of course you came through in grand style yesterday. How did it feel to come out in that situation?
Well, of course it felt great. I mean, it was the last thing I expected. I've never really pinch hit that much in my career. The last thing in the world I dreamed of doing. I got a pitch I was looking for. I took a chance, like I said yesterday, with 2 strikes. You can't look for a breaking ball, and I just had a feeling he was going to throw me a breaking ball, and he did. And he got it. He hung it over the middle. I was just glad to get the hit and give us a big win.
Keith, now with 21 game-winning RBIs on the year, that ties the National League record that he currently holds, along with Jack Clark. And we're back with the start of the first of this series against San Diego for you right here on WOR after this for Budweiser.
Mark Thurman getting set to pitch here for the first game of this 3-game series. Thurman with a record of 6-7, an earned run average of 3.89. He has worked a total of 104 innings, allowed 113 hits, 34 walks, 37 strikeouts, 6 home runs, and he has a record against the Mets of 2 wins and 1 loss in this year. Mark Thurman going for San Diego.
And the lineup for the Metropolitans, Wally Backman, the second baseman, leading off. Tom Paciorek in right field and batting second. What a job Tom has done since being acquired from the White Sox. Keith Hernandez, the first baseman, with a game-winning RBI, his 21st of the year in yesterday's game. Gary Carter, the catcher, batting 4th, and Darryl Strawberry will be in center field this evening and batting 5th. George Foster in left field hit 6th. Ray Knight, the third baseman, batting 7th. Rafael Santana is the shortstop, batting 8th. And Sid Fernandez on the mound, of course, batting 9th.
And the umpires for this game, John McSherry, the only umpire that had his uniform arrive. So he was scheduled to be at third base. Billy Williams is at third base. McSherry there with the chest protector and the umpire's equipment. The others have to work in golf clothes, I'd have to say.
Looks like they had some gift certificates they wanted to get rid of, right?
Randy Marsh is at first base, Billy Williams at third base. The dimensions here at this ballpark, 327 down the left field line, 370 in left center field, 405 in straightaway center field, 370 in right center field, and again back to 327 down the right field line. Good hitting ballpark. The Mets have had 100 home runs so far this year, and the Padres have had 89. Padres as a team hitting 252, And the Mets hitting at .252 as a team.
Ralph, you mentioned a good hitting ballpark. It is since they moved that fence up. It used to be one of the tougher parks in the league to hit a home run in.
Yeah, that's Dave Winfield.
Yeah, right.
So it's Wally Backman, the leadoff for the Mets. Wally hitting at .288 for the year, 1 home run, 31 RBIs. And there you see that lower fence. And the old fence used to be that high wall in back. You had to hit it over the top of that high wall, which made it even more difficult. Final score, Cincinnati defeated St. Louis 4-1. So Cincinnati picking up a victory over the Cardinals. The Mets technically are 1.5 games back at this point. And Backman grounds one out to the shortstop, Templeton, and the throw to first base for the out. Backman had been 8 for 37. He is now 8 for 38. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the New York Mets and WOR-TV and is intended solely for the private non-commercial use of our audience. Any publication, reproduction, retransmission, or other use of the pictures, descriptions, and accounts of this game without the express written consent of the New York Mets and WOR-TV is prohibited. Now the batter will be Tom Paciorek. Tom hitting at .328, 1 home run, 8 runs batted in. Tom has 2 hits and 8 at-bats against San Diego pitching. And the next delivery is taken low. Paciorek with no home runs against the Padres pitching and 1 run batted in.
I'll tell you, it looked like Tom may have injured his left side. A lot of times when you go to swing at a pitch like that and you hold up, that rib cage can come into play. And I've seen a lot of guys pull a muscle in that rib cage because there's such tremendous power, if you're hitting well, that you put against that front side.
And it only hurts when you swing, too, when you pull that muscle. It is really a bad injury. Jack Clark has that problem with the St. Louis Cardinals on the DL. And there's the first hit of the ball game as Paciorek hangs in there and drills it up the middle.
Boy, you talk about a nice swing. He did not try to do too much with the fastball. Watch this swing. See the front shoulder opens up, doesn't try to pull it, hits it on the fat part of the bat. And when you do that many things right, your chances go dramatically up for you to get a base hit. Check it again. Look at that front shoulder. Boy, that is a nice swing, isn't it?
Notice how that back foot came up and went on to the toe, which is the shift of weight that you need to have to drive the ball on the line. Now Keith Hernandez, who had that pinch hit home run yesterday to win the ball game for the Mets. Keith hitting at .287 for the year with 9 home runs, 73 RBIs, and the left-hander misses with a fastball. Keith hitting .303 against Padre pitching this year with no home runs and only 1 RBI. And again, the fastball for ball 2. 2 balls, no strikes.
A lot of times all you have to do is go to the stat sheet to see what kind of a pitcher a certain guy is. Mark Thurman with 34 bases on balls, 37 strikeouts. And that means he's a contact pitcher. Puts the ball in play, won't overpower anybody.
Throws a lot of ground balls as he turns the ball down, throws a sinker fastball.
And a little screwball. Not a dramatic screwball like a Valenzuela, but it's almost a screwball off the changeup.
Hard ground ball foul down the right field side. 2 balls, 1 strike, the count to Keith Hernandez. Keith, the National League leader in game-winning RBIs with a total of 21, tying his National League record. He holds that record with Jack Clark, and he's 1 short of the Major League record at 22. On deck batter Gary Carter. Drive into right field, a base hit. Winover takes it on the high bounce. Paciorek going on to third, and he makes it. Tom Paciorek, first to third on the base hit by Hernandez.
Ralph, this is why you do not need a third base coach, because a lot of times the hop will dictate whether you're going to take the extra base or not. Paciorik's not at second. You see, now watch the hop, high hop. So that dictates the fact that Paciorek should go to third base. Nice, alert base running play by Paciorek.
So runners at third base, Paciorek there, and at first base, Hernandez there, and 1 away, and it brings up Gary Carter. Carter hitting .272 with 20 home runs, 65 RBIs. Had 2 home runs in the 3-game series against the Giants. Make that a 4-game series against the Giants. And a ground ball down the line. A diving play by Nettles. He throws to second, not in time. The ball is dropped anyway, and on the play, the Mets come up with the first run of the ball game as Paciorek scores from third.
Well, I'll tell you, at 40 years old, this guy could play on any team in baseball. Greg Nettles, still with the agility of a 20-year-old. What a play. Fails to get Hernandez. An infield hit and an RBI for Gary Carter as Paciorek scores, but Greg Nettles certainly saving an extra base hit to put the Padres in a deeper hole. What a play.
And it brings up Darryl Strawberry. Darryl hitting .272 for the year with 3 home runs and, with 21 home runs and 57 RBIs. Darryl hitting .375 against Padre pitching this year with 3 hits and 8 at-bats. One of the hits a home run.
You know, Ralph, it's so important to have your knees sound at a reaction position. Mike Schmidt, for instance, when he plays third base, never dove for a ball because he's got 2 bad knees. It was quite clear that Nettles does not have bad knees. Otherwise, he couldn't have made a play like that.
Good knees and a great pair of hands. He's been an outstanding defensive player as Strawberry takes the first pitch for ball 1. Strawberry, since returning to action after that torn ligament of the thumb, hitting .297 with 15 home runs and 45 RBIs. A total of 56 games. And he gets a strike call there. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Well, it's been a month of Sundays since we've seen that right-hander. Luis De Leon. An arm problems the past couple of years, but he's warming up early. Only the first inning, and Thurman in trouble.
3 hits in a row by the Mets after the first out. And now Strawberry slices it into left field. Another extra base hit. Hernandez scores. Carter scores. And Strawberry into third base, and he's in safely. And the Mets lead by a score of 3-0 as they get 4 base hits in a row.
Well, I'll tell you what, Ralph, in my opinion, this ball should have been a ground rule double. And it's not, because the bench in both bullpens, the benches, are playable. Watch where this ball goes. Ball rattles around underneath that. Check it out. Now, that's a ground rule double. He's got to go under the bench to get it. It was not called by third base umpire Billy Williams, who had the call. There's no argument from Dick Williams, but in my opinion, a ball lodged that much out of play should be a ground rule double. But it's a triple for Strawberry, and the Mets with a quick lead, obviously inspired by that Cardinal score.
That Cardinal score as Cincinnati beat the Cardinals 4-1. Galen Cisco out to the mound, the pitching coach.
Here's that play at third base. Darryl sliding in. So really, not only did Strawberry drive in 2 runs because that ball was under the bench, he got a triple out of it instead of a double.
Cisco going back to the bench, and the batter for the Mets will be George Foster. Foster hitting at .251 for the year, 17 home runs, 64 RBIs, and the infield is being played in by manager Dick Williams. They want to play at the plate. So the hitting for Foster becomes a lot easier with that infield in. It'll make a 200 hitter a 300 hitter.
Yeah, that's right. And the plate should become a lot wider for Thurman. You got to make Foster hit a ball right here. Fastballs in and screwballs like that.
He goes outside. Foster doesn't bite, and a count of 2 balls, no strikes.
If you end up walking George, then you could play your infield halfway and look for the ground ball off Ray Knight.
2-0 the count. Way outside, 3-0 on Thurman pitching around George Foster with his first 3 pitches not near the strike zone. Foster's hitting .379 against Padre pitching this year with 11 base hits. He's had 1 home run and driven in 6. 3-0 pitch way outside, boxed by Terry Kennedy, and Foster is walked. And that was an intentional walk right there.
And I'm sure Galen Cisco talked to Mark Thurman, who is not happy at all, and told him to pitch around Foster. And that's a tough situation for a diplomat, Ralph. you go out and tell the pitcher to pitch around the guy, and after he does it, you take him out of the ball game. That's tough.
That is tough. They were looking for time for the pitcher to warm up in the bullpen. And they got enough as Thurman, a quick knockout here, retiring only one batter. The Mets lead by a score of 3-0 with runners at first and third. Thurman credited with 1/3 inning of work, came in with an earned run average of 3.89, so that will go up.
And he's pitched so well. He has won 3 of his last 4 starts, 3-0 in his last 4 outings. But the new pitcher, Luis De Leon, 0-3 record, a 4.26 ERA, his 25th game, all in relief. He has a couple of saves, worked 31 or so innings, with 25 strikeouts and 9 intentional passes.
And De Leon will be working to Ray Knight as his first batter. He spent some time down in Las Vegas, the #1 farm club for the Padres. Recalled on September 1st when the roster went to 40 players. He had a record in Vegas of 2 wins and 1 loss, an earned run average of 5.40 in 9 games. He had 3 game starts, no complete games. Worked 23 in the 3rd innings, allowed 27 hits, 14 earned runs, gave up 3 home runs, walked 8 and struck out 19. So Mark Thurman disgruntled after a very fast exit here, and the Mets on top by a 3-0 score. Mets came into this game trailing the Cardinals by 2 games. They have moved up to a 1.5 game back with the Cardinals losing to Cincinnati. And if they could win this ball game, it will be just 1 game out. Ray Knight, the batter. Ray hitting .209 for the year with 5 home runs, 29 RBIs. Against the Padres, though, he's hitting .353. 6 base hits, none of them out of the ballpark, but he has driven in 3 runs, and the Padres set up for the double play. De Leon, for a short time, a very, very difficult right-hand pitcher. And he starts off with a fastball that's grounded foul.
And plus, Ralph, with the roster expanded to a maximum of 40 players, you're more inclined to make a move with a guy like De Leon because you can make more moves with that big roster. Greg Booker, a pitcher, was brought up. Lance McCullers, Gene Walter, Ed Wojna, Luis De Leon. So the Padres working with 14 pitchers now.
1-strike pitch is again grounded foul. Back in '83, De Leon had a record of 6 wins, 6 losses, and 13 saves, an earned run average of 2.68. In '82, he was 9-5 with 15 saves, earned run average of 203. But in '84, things turned out badly for him. 2-2 without a save. Then went to Vegas.
He was on the disabled list twice with tendonitis in his right elbow last year.
And that one a fastball. De Leon has a little bit of a reputation for going at you.
Yeah, the count 0-2 right there. That is not only legal, but a good thing to do. You've got to protect the outside part of the plate. And whenever the ball's thrown at your head, that's the easiest place to get out of the way of it. The balls behind you are the ones that hit you in the coconut. Thrown about 6 inches behind that head.
The tendency is to fall back into it. Right there, Ray had a little duck, and that was it. 1-2 the count, and the slider pulled foul into the stands. De Leon acquired by San Diego from the Cardinals for a pitcher named Alan Olmstead as part of a trade involving Steve Mura, a good curveball pitcher for San Diego, and Sexto Lescano back in 1982. Ray Knight having difficulty getting it going, but batting right here with runners at first and third, 1 man out. Mets leading 3-0. Knight, the 7th man to bat in this inning. And a slider topped out to the shortstop. It's hit too easy for a double play, so they pick up the out at first as another run scores. Darryl Strawberry coming in from third. 4-0 New York.
Well, that was some play by Gary Templeton. He caught the ball on the short hop and made the throw all in one motion. good curveball. Knight doing a good job to even get a part of it. Watch this. Ball appeared not even to touch the glove. Good play by Templeton. Boy, the Mets, when was the last time you remember them scoring this many runs in the first inning?
It's been a while, hasn't it? Templeton, a fine fielding first baseman acquired from the Cardinals for Ozzie Smith, and should say shortstop, and he has done a good job. He is outstanding. Now the batter will be Rafael Santana, the Mets' outstanding shortstop, and a slider swung on a miss. Santana hitting at .260 for the year with 1 home run, 24 RBIs. Boston, the runner at second base. Santana, the 8th man to bat in the inning. And a line drive to left field. Martinez coming over is there, and he makes the play. So the Mets send 8 to the plate, score 4 runs on a total of 4 hits. They leave 1, and the score at the end of 1/2 inning, the Mets 4, the San Diego Padres coming up. Now here's a word from the good olds guys. Fernandez on the mound for the Mets, and finally staked to some runs. Fernandez with a record of 5-8. Earned run average at 2.75. He has worked a total of 121 innings, given up only 82 hits, walked 60, has struck out a very high total of 139 batters for his innings pitched, allowed 8 home runs, and Sid Fernandez going against the Padre lineup.
And what an unusual position for Sid to be in with a 4-run lead in the first. Gary Templeton, the shortstop, leads it off. Tony Gwynn playing right field will bat second. First baseman Steve Garvey will bat third. Carmelo Martinez in left field batting fourth. And third baseman Greg Nettles hitting fifth. Kevin McReynolds, the center fielder, batting sixth. Terry Kennedy, because of the left-hander pitching, moves to the 7th slot as he is often the 5th place hitter. Jerry Royster, the second baseman, batting 8th. And Luis De Leon will be on the mound.
Sid Fernandez, who leads the major leagues in strikeouts per 9 innings average, 10.34, and he also leads the major leagues in fewest hits allowed per 9 innings, allowing just 6.10 hits per 9. And Sid going in with a 4-run lead as he starts to work in this ball game. Padres at home are 1 game over 500 with a record at 34-33 against left-hand pitching, and a record at 22-19.
Number 1, Gary Templeton.
And the Mets, when they have scored the first run of the ball game, have a record going of 78%. Final score: the Cincinnati Reds 4, the St. Louis Cardinals 1. First pitch by Fernandez to Templeton. It's fouled back into the stands on the right field side. Templeton, a switch hitter, batting at .282 for the year with 5 home runs, 45 RBIs. Idea about bunting, but Templeton taking the pitch in the count, 1 ball and 1 strike. Sid Fernandez has 1 complete game with those fantastic stats, and that was a losing complete game. Fastball fouled back. The count 1-2.
Yeah, his only complete game in the major leagues coming, and a losing effort against the Montreal Expos when Hubie Brooks beat him 3-2 with a double in the bottom of the 9th.
There is Tony Gwynn, the second place hitter in the batting order. Last year's major league leader in batting average. The curveball, 2 balls, 2 strikes. Templeton hitting .229 against the Mets this year with no home runs, 3 RBIs. And he misses a fastball, so Sid Fernandez powers it right on by him, picks up the first strikeout, and he got it against his first batter.
See how well Fernandez hides that fastball. He's got that big leg kick with the right leg, and that's got to be very disconcerting to a hitter. He does throw hard, but it appears that he throws harder because of that high leg kick and the way he hides his fastball.
You have about 2/5 of a second to pick up the ball and swing at it, and he probably has a shorter time to find that ball because of that motion. And if you can shorten up that pickup time on that ball, that makes you very tough to hit. It's not the speed of the ball, it's where you pick it up. 1 ball, no strikes as Tony Gwynn gets his second pitch, a fastball, and the count 1 ball, 1 strike. Gwynn hitting .308 this year with 4 home runs, 30 RBIs. Last year, led the major leagues in hitting, and that pitch a fastball in the count. 2 balls and 1 strike. Batted .351. Gwynn, the toughest man to strike out in the National League last season. And he pops it in the air to deep left center field. Going back is Strawberry. He looks, and it's gone. Tony Gwynn with a home run. And the Padres get one back.
There are a lot of guys who do not hit home runs because of the swing that they have. They had a lot of line drives. Tony Gwynn's one of those guys. He's strong enough to hit home runs, but because of his swing, he doesn't hit that many. And this gives you an idea of how strong he is. He almost inside out of that ball, 375 feet. Usually if you inside out it, it's a little nubber over the opposite infielder's head.
That's his 5th home run of the year. His first was a damaging blow to Fernando Valenzuela. And the fastball is called strike. Valenzuela had gone 41 1/3 innings without allowing an earned run when Gwynn beat him a ball game 1-0 with a home run in the 9th inning. Now Steve Garvey, a former Dodger, he gets the curveball. 1 ball, 1 strike. Garvey hitting a .272 for the year with 16 home runs, 65 runs batted in. Last home run that Fernandez gave up was to Steve Garvey back on August 23rd. Garvey, a good series against the Mets at Shea Stadium with some fine home run hitting. 2 home runs, as a matter of fact, in the series. He's hit 23 against Mets pitching in his major league career and has batted .296. 3-1 the count.
Now, you can't let a home run deter you out of the strike zone and make you start being timid out there. You still have a 3-run lead, so you got to reestablish.
And Garvey hits it in the air to center. Strawberry, a late break, and his speed gets him to the ball to make the catch. So Garvey out after Strawberry got a late break on the catch by Darrell in shallow center field.
Well, with this 6 o'clock start, it's very difficult to pick that ball up, and understandable that Strawberry didn't get a good jump. As you said, Ralph, speed makes up for a lot of mistakes.
Garvey has only 24 walks this year. So he went after the 3-1 pitch and flied out to center field, and it brings up Carmelo Martinez. Carmelo batting at .252 for the year with 16 home runs, 57 runs batted in. And the fastball, a called strike. Martinez acquired from the Chicago Cubs, and the fastball this time misses, and it's 1 ball and 1 strike. Martinez hitting .303 against the Mets with 2 home runs. He has good power. And this one is popped up on the shortstop side. Rafael Santana. And Rafael puts it away, and that retires the side. 1 run on the home run by Tony Gwynn. No one left on base, and the score at the end of 1. The Mets 4 and the Padres 1. Now here's a word from Nissan.
Fans, the Mets playing the Padres tonight. Next Sunday, you can be here when the Mets take on the Los Angeles Dodgers up in L.A. Don't miss the action next Sunday afternoon, 4 o'clock, right here on Channel 9. That's 4 o'clock Eastern Time. And in all likelihood, Sid Fernandez will start that game. So it'll be a doubleheader here on WOR with 5 days in between.
And it will be Sid Fernandez to lead off for the Mets, as the Mets sent 8 to the plate in the first inning to score 4 runs. And the first pitch by De Leon, a fastball for ball 1. Sid has had 8 hits this year. He's hitting .211.
And he fouls off a fastball. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Ralph, you see a lot of managers who will bring in a right-handed long man after a left-handed starter has started, because it's going to be easier for the right-hander, because now the lineup is set to hit against left-handed pitching.
And a swing and a miss. 1-2 the count. There's Dick Williams, the manager of the San Diego Padres.
He's into those sunflower seeds.
I'll tell you, a 4-run first inning will make you get into a lot of things. And this one fouled off. And the other side of that coin, too, Tim, is that when they bring in the right-hand pitcher, the manager who set up the lineup for a left-hand pitcher doesn't want to make that change now, because you'd lose all your players.
Too early.
You don't want to lose him. You want to keep him on the bench. So that off-speed pitch, a good one. Forkball, I believe. And a strikeout.
Some sort of breaking ball. It's not the type of breaking ball that De Leon throws to the right-hander. So what you're saying, and it's really true, is that the manager almost aids the other manager in trying to, and not making moves early, because you run out of players. You don't want to make too many switches, because now when they come back with a left-hander following the right-hander, then you
don't want to be caught.
You're with the lineup that you wouldn't start anyway, right?
That's right. It's a cat-mouse game, and you don't want to fall into that trap. Here's Wally Backman, the switch hitter. Better hitter from the left-hand side. From the right-hand side, he grounded out to short his first time up. Batting .288 for the year, 1 home run, 31 RBIs. Wally hitting .315 left-handed and .177 right-handed as you look at De Leon. Luis De Leon. Two and 1 the count to Wally. Wally hitting .094 against Padre pitchers this year coming into this game. 3 hits and 32 at-bats. He's now 3 for 33, and he's been in a batting slump. Showing signs of coming out of it against the Giants. He takes that fastball. 2 balls, 2 strikes. On deck batter, Tom Paciori. And the fastball line to left field, and Backman gets a hard hit to left field, and the Mets have a runner on with 1 man out here in the second inning, leading 4-1.
Well, this is the Wally Backman you used to seeing. When he was in that slump, he was 2 for 28, and he hit a lot of ground balls to the second baseman. You start playing pepper with that second baseman as a left-handed hitter. You try to get back to your normal way of hitting, and his normal way of hitting is to left field.
Now, that was a patented Backman base hit right there. And it brings up Tom Paciori. Tom with a base hit up the middle his first time up. Gets a slider, and it's ball 1.
Put him in motion here.
Good hit and run man. Tom has that natural stroke to right field. They play him straight away. And, of course, Backman has fine speed. Good size lead. He is running. Good jump. And Kennedy has no chances. That ball goes down and hits Backman right in the arm. Boy, that's got to hurt. Kennedy not known for quick release or even catching well. And the Mets using that as a weapon.
Yeah, all the elements were there in this hit-and-run situation. Good speed, contact hitter. And Terry Kennedy, not known for his throwing arm. The ball hit Wally, but I'll tell you, when I used to hit runners at second base, I wish they'd rub it or something, dude. You know, you don't want to just get up and not even shake it off.
Never even touch the spot.
Yeah.
And Paciori gets it on the second base side. Garvey making the call. And he makes the catch as Backman holds at second. That stolen base for Backman, his 23rd of the year in 30 attempts. So now 2 men out, and Keith Hernandez the batter. He singled his first time up, a drive in the right center field that was cut off on a good play by Tony Gwynn, the right fielder. Keith Hernandez leading the club in runs batted in with 73. And he leads the National League in game-winning RBIs with 21. And the curveball for strike one. Mets leading 4-1. 4 runs in the first. They have a runner at second. 2 men away here in the second. And Keith Hernandez asks for time. Mets have a record against left-hand pitching, and a left-hander started against the Mets of 32-19. They have seen more left-handed pitching than any team in the National League, and they have won more games against left-hand pitching than any team in the National League. And they are just a percentage point behind the Dodgers in percentage victories against left-hand pitching. But left-handers give the Mets trouble. So those
have lately.
That's so strange. There's a drive to right field. Backman's being waved in. It's going to be a play at the plate. And it gets away from Kennedy. And Backman scores. Hernandez goes on down to second on the air. And now he is being sent back to second base as the ball goes into the dugout out of play. So Backman able to score in this drive to right.
Well, Keith Hernandez riding the coattails of that big homer yesterday to win it. And this play right here, Backman being sent home, was a play dictated because of the score. That's normally a bad play, even with 2 outs, with the ball hit that sharply. But as we've said so often, scoring early, what that does, it allows you to take more chances and thereby increase your lead. And that's what Bud Harrelson did properly then. He sent her Backman.
So the Mets get a run on the base hit. We'll see if they score an error on the play. And the batter now is Gary Carter. And Carter takes inside.
Sometimes they give errors to catchers on plays like that, but that was an in-between hop. It was a strong throw, but not a good hop for Kennedy to handle.
No error so far. So it'll be an RBI for Keith, his second of the ball game, his first of the ball game. And they gave him third base on second base on the throw to home plate. 1-1 the count to Gary Carter. Carter with an infield base hit his first time up. He was robbed of a 2-base hit on a great diving catch by Nettles. But he got an RBI on the play. Ground ball foul, fielded by Bud Harrelson. Carter with a count of 1-2. The Mets leading 5-1. Has a bat here in the top of the second inning. And De Leon with a slider that's ripped into center field. Hernandez is being held up. The throw is all the way through the home, and now Carter halfway between first and second walks back to first base. Right there. No chance for Hernandez to score, so he was held up.
Well, and I know what you're thinking. If the last play was dictated by the score, why isn't this play? Why don't you score Hernandez? Well, you don't have the speed to work with. With Backman, you had the element of good speed on the bases to force the outfielder into a mistake. Right there, that would have been suicidal to send Hernandez. He'd have been out by 15 feet.
You just don't go blindly into situations.
Right.
There has to be a reasonable amount of belief that it will work when you do make your decisions. Third base coach is a tough position. Most of them go on to become managers. And the pitch back is a breaking ball to Strawberry for strike one. Darrell with a 3-base hit in the left field corner his first time up to drive in 2 runs. And that is Gene Walder throwing in the bullpen, just brought up from Las Vegas. 1 strike to count. Strawberry fouls it off.
And things are certainly closing up here in the National League East. The Mets 1.5 games behind the St. Louis Cardinals, and the Cardinals in town at Shea for 3 big games next Tuesday, Wednesday, and a day game on Thursday. What a series that's going to be.
And the fastball too high in the count 1-2.
2 night games, 7:35 Tuesday and Wednesday, and then a 1:35 day game.
Get your tickets early.
It is going to be a dandy.
And the off-speed changeup, and it's 2 balls and 2 strikes. De Leon does not throw the way he used to throw when he was doing the good work he had done for the Padres. He does not throw hard anymore.
It's a shame that in order to be effective, you got to do that much damage to your arm, huh? Or other parts of your body. Knees, ankles.
Darrell did not swing. The dapper Billy Williams at third base.
Looks like a referee instead of an umpire. Looks like a part-time referee, part-time fisherman.
Just got off the boat. 3-2. And Darrell pops it up foul. That's out of play. Good crowd here tonight, but the Padres' attendance has dropped off, although they're still in it. They're only 6 games back of the Dodgers. They came into tonight's game with a paid attendance figure of 1,907,157. They're second best at this point ever. Fernandez running with a pitch, and this one a fair ball. Drilled on the other side this time. Fernandez comes in to score. Carter is being held up at third base, and the throw into second, and Strawberry is out. Kind of a mix-up on the base paths right there, but the Mets do pick up 1 run.
Third RBI for Darryl Strawberry, and that gives him 60 on the year, and he missed 7 weeks of the season. Ball just fair. Now watch the carom. Tony Gwynn is such a good hitter that few people give him credit for being a good outfielder. Good play right here.
Now the throw in gets Strawberry, and Carter held up at third base on that play. That was very unusual, but the Mets get a run on the RBI by Strawberry. They get 2 in the inning. They had 4 hits, and 1 man was left at third. And the score at the end of 1.5 innings, the Mets 6 and the Padres 1. Now here's a word from the good Olds guys. Mets leading by a score of 6-1, and now for the play-by-play, Tim McCarver.
All right, Ralph. Greg Nettles leads it off here in the bottom of the second. And he didn't get it all, I don't think. Pashoric back, and he makes the catch. Sometimes it's deceptive, but that ball sounded like it was near the trademark. 1 out.
So Nettles flirts with a home run, but flirtation doesn't count right here. He thought he had it. I think he came out of that batter's box thinking it was going to carry out of the ballpark. Pashoric uses all the park that he can and makes the play there. So Nettles back to the bench, 1 away.
And the batter Kevin McReynolds, 6-1. New York's leading. Only the bottom of the second inning. And in 2 innings, they have done something that they have not done for Fernandez in 9 innings at any time this year. They've scored 6 runs. Ball well hit to right center. Pashoric over Strawberry there. Pashoric, Strawberry cutting in front of Tom. And the signals, usually the center fielder cuts in front of the right and left fielder. Right, Ralph?
Yep. Center fielder controls the outfield. He's the man who let catch the ball. Of course, Strawberry and Pashoric haven't worked together very long.
Terry Kennedy, the batter, with 2 out, nobody on. And as usually is the case, Fernandez has retired 5 batters, 5 on fly balls. 0-1.
2 batters on 3 pitches have hit 2 balls, 750 feet, and both of them are out.
If they'd have pulled them down the line, both of them would have been out. 327 down the line. 1-1 to Terry Kennedy. Terry with 9 home runs, 68 RBIs. He leads the Padres in RBIs with 68. 1-2. That was a good fastball there. Fernandez has never beaten the Padres. He's 0-3 lifetime. 2-2. Sid 0-1 this year and 0-2 last year. Line drive to center, and that's going to drop. Nice play by Strawberry to smother that hop. But Kennedy's on. The second hit for the Padres, and the batter will be Jerry Royster.
Well, Kennedy hits this near the trademark, but he's strong enough that he hits it fairly well to center, and Strawberry, making the move on the ball, comes in, gets his body in front of it so that if you don't get your glove on it, it'll stop somewhere near you. Good play by Strawberry, and that brings up the second baseman.
Jerry Royster batting .275 on the year, and a curveball is low. Jerry is one half of that tandem that is platooned at second base. They call him Timry Flanster. I love that. Tim Flannery and Jerry Royster. He gets jammed with a fastball and a little flare to Hernandez, and he makes the catch. No runs, a hit, and one left here in the second. And the Mets in the early going are walloping the Padres 6-1. We'll be back after this word from Manufacturers Hanover. Top of the third inning, George Foster leads it off. George will be followed by Ray Knight and Rafael Santana. The Mets up 6-1. They have 8 hits. Padres with but 2. The only Padre run coming on a home run by Tony Gwynn in the first inning. Well, he looks like a Charger fan instead of a Padre fan. He's got his football ready, and football season right around the corner.
It's here.
It's here.
It's here.
Hey, you saw your old buddy Lindsey Nelson doing the Oregon, Washington State
Washington State game. Oregon put it away. It was an exciting game. Lindsey working with Paul Hornung.
1-0 to Foster on the curveball. George walked his first time up. Jams him with a fastball. Greg Nettles has no problem getting Foster one away.
Well, George is having problems right now. 0 for 13 with that ground out.
Third baseman, number 22, Ray Knight.
Hitless up in Candlestick. Ray Knight, the batter. Ray with an RBI ground out, his 25th RBI of the year. I beg your pardon, make that his 30th RBI of the year. And a fastball for a strike.
When you put the third base combination RBIs together, Johnson and Ray Knight, you have a total of 63. Not bad for one position.
That's right, and not bad considering Knight batting .209. And he gets a base hit right here going the other way, and Johnson batting .238. So they have made their hits count for the most part.
Well, Ray gets a ground ball that is just out of the reach of Steve Garvey, who doesn't have nearly the range of Keith Hernandez. Garvey, of course, played the entire season last year without an error. The first baseman to ever do that in the major leagues. Steffi McGinnis had played an entire season with 1 error.
Rafael Santana, the batter, he flied to left his first time up. And a strike. I don't mean for this to sound like Steve Garvey is not a good first baseman, but usually, Ralph, streaks like that are put together by guys who lack range. Would you say that's generally a true statement?
That's true. Very true.
Ernie Banks, for instance, at shortstop in the Cubs. He held the record for fewest errors by a shortstop until Larry Boa broke it back in 1971.
And Boa, of course, with, at that time, considerable range. The trouble with range is you have to make an awful lot of plays from tough throwing positions when you have that great range. And you can get errors.
Little cue shot foul, 1-1 to Santana. Rafi entered the game batting .260. Facing Luis De Leon from Ponce, Puerto Rico.
They had a first baseman named Zeke Bonura who played back in the 30s. And they call him the Ancient Mariner at first. He stopped with 1 of 3. He didn't make any errors either, but he didn't ever get to many.
That's a safe way to play it, I'll tell you. Ground ball right side, and Royster will go to second. Good play, Templeton. Boy, right in the line of those spikes. Royster may have been better off going to first base on that play with Fernandez coming up. 2 out.
Take a big gamble. It's a good play, no doubt about it. Both sides making a good play. Royster to make the turnaround throw, and then Templeton to dig it out and to keep from getting spiked by the runner coming down, Ray Knight. Templeton, an outstanding athlete.
No, he really is. May have lost a step or so. Recently signed a 4-year extension on his contract, so Jack McKeon, the general manager, doesn't feel like he's lost a step. And it's 0-1 to Sid Fernandez.
Yeah, the knee operation. When he broke in, he could really fly.
Boy, could he cover ground on that left side. It's almost as though you didn't need a third baseman. And Fernandez with the breaking ball fouls it away. 0-2. Mets up 6-1. Only the top of the 3rd inning. New York scored 4 in the first on 4 hits and came back scoring 2 in the second on 4 hits.
They talked about Templeton as an NFL football player. He could throw a football 60 yards.
Well, the high rider gets Fernandez. He strikes out for the 2nd time. The 2nd strikeout for De Leon. Mets fail to score for the first time in 3 innings, but they lead 6-1 after 2.5. Now here's a word from the good old guys. Staged on Saturday afternoon, September 21st, when the Mets play the Pittsburgh Pirates at Shea. All fans 16 years old and older who attend the 135 game will receive a free royal blue rain poncho, courtesy of Snapper, manufacturers of quality power equipment. The poncho comes complete with a hood and pocket in the front, and it's perfect, and I mean perfect, rain gear to keep you dry in any sort of weather. One size fits all if you're worried about that, so no problem. Come on out to Shea Saturday afternoon, September 21st. Free ponchos to all fans 16 and over from Snapper. And you can also see the Mets and the Pirates at 135.
And you could also see the Mets and the St. Louis Cardinals, and they'll square off for the first time since June 30th when they meet the Mets at Shea in the next homestand. The Mets and Cards play single games on Tuesday night, September 10th, Wednesday night, the 11th, and Thursday afternoon, the 12th. The Cardinals, led by Willie McGee, who leads the major leagues in hitting, Tommy Herr, and sensational rookie Vince Coleman, are the team to beat if the Mets are to win the Eastern Division crown. That's the showdown between the Mets and St. Louis, a 3-game series at Shea, Tuesday and Wednesday night, September 10th and 11th, and Thursday afternoon, September 12th, the last time they'll meet at Shea Stadium.
And Miguel Delaney, who is batting .202, the switch hitter, against Sid Fernandez, leading off the bottom of the 3rd inning. And while Miguel steps in there, we'll try to fire a Mets trivia question at you. Have some fun with it this half inning. 6-1, New York. And it's 1-0. All right, Mr. Kiner. It was on this date that the Mets first went over the 1 million mark in attendance. The 1 million mark in attendance for the first time. What year was it?
Well, that's got to be somewhere between 1962 and 1985.
Talk about lack of range and playing it safe. Gene Walter warming up. Well, it's 3-0 to Delaney. So one thing Fernandez doesn't want to do, walks start big innings more than anything, in my opinion.
Walks and errors, probably more walks.
Errors, of course, the physical side of it. Walks are too, but it's the lack of concentration. The concentrated fastball there. 3-1 to Delaney. Well, he lost it. First walk of the ball game issued by Sid Fernandez. Delaney's on there to lead off the 3rd, and the batter, Gary Templeton. Well, the Mets went over the million mark in attendance on this day a few years ago. Now, what year was it, Ralph?
I got to say 1964 when the Mets played their first time at Shea Stadium.
You know what I would have guessed? 1962.
First year they just barely drew. I don't know if they drew a million that first year at the Polo Grounds.
Well, it was 1963. It was the Polo Grounds. The second year that the Mets were operating under the blue and orange. Took their blue from the Dodgers and the orange from the San Francisco Giants. Or from the New York Giants, I should say. 1-0 to Templeton.
That's also the city colors, so it all worked out very nicely. Got some final scores. Pittsburgh beat Atlanta 5-4. Houston topped Chicago 7-2. Philadelphia beat San Francisco 4-3. Steve Carlton started in that ball game.
He was not the winner. I think that's Larry. No, it wasn't Larry Anderson.
And Cincinnati defeated St. Louis 4-1. Montreal and the Dodgers still playing in the bottom of the sixth, tied up at 2.
And it's 2-1. Don Carmen, the winner in that Philadelphia game. Carlton went 5 1/3 innings in that game. So Carlton's first start in quite some time. The Giants did score all 3 runs off of Steve. Steve on the DL for the first time in his remarkable career. 2-2 to Templeton. Nobody out. 6-1 New York. Bottom of the third. 3-2 to Templeton.
On deck batter Tony Gwynn, so Sid Fernandez on the brink of trouble.
Templeton stays alive. Delaney not running on the play as the Padres trail by 5.
Final scores in the American League. The Yankees defeated Seattle 8-7, and Toronto won their ball game against Cleveland 3-2. So the Yankees still 4 games back.
Throw to first. Yeah, New York was the Yankees were ahead 7-0 in that game. Dave Winfield with his 22nd home run of the year. Got him with the heater, the high rider. Second strikeout for Fernandez, and both of them have been Gary Templeton.
And both of them have been fastballs. This one a little lower. The first time he struck out, he went after a fastball at the letters.
And the batter's going to be last year's batting champion, Tony Gwynn. He homered his first time up, the 5th of the year for Tony.
Another final score, the California Angels defeated Detroit 11-1. Angels leading Kansas City by 2.5 games going into that game.
There's a strike, 0-1. Now, Ralph, there are gentlemen and there are gentlemen. And I'm proud to say that Tony Gwynn is both a gentleman and a gentleman. He is a fine, fine human being. Curveball is high, 1-1.
Went to school right here in this area. San Diego State. Went there in a basketball scholarship as a point guard.
Good breaking ball, 1-2. Curveball inside, 2-2 to Tony Gwynn. Delaney at first, 1 out, 6-1 New York. Mets trying to go to within 1 game of the St. Louis Cardinals. The Cardinals lost today 4-1 to Cincinnati. And Gwynn fouls it away. So many short definitions for good hitters, and there's another one, Steve Garvey. Good hitters foul off the pitcher's pitches and make solid contact on their pitches. They don't foul those off. Breaking ball outside, 3-2.
Wynn led the major leagues in hits last year with 213.
Only Padre in the history of this franchise, dating back since 1969, to have 200 hits in a season. Stealing A back. Fernandez not overly concerned with him with a 5-run lead. He may be running here. He wasn't with Templeton hitting. Not running. Ground ball is short. Could be 2. 6-4. An easy double play for Fernandez. Nicely turned on the pivot by Backman. No runs, no hits, no errors, and nobody left after 3. 6-1, New York. Now here's a word from a great beer, Budweiser. Well, tomorrow, don't miss the start of Marco Polo. Ken Marshall stars as the famed explorer in a 10-hour miniseries with special guests Anne Bancroft, John Houseman, and Burt Lancaster. What a lineup. Marco Polo beginning tomorrow night at 9 on Channel 9 as the Pods have themselves a new pitcher, the third pitcher in 4 innings. He's Gene Walter. Gene with a record of 0-2, his 8th game of the year. He has a couple of saves. He's worked 9 1/3 innings. And he struck out 11 and walked 4. And as always, in to call it for you here in the 4th inning, Steve Zabriskie. Steve-O.
Thanks a lot, Tim, and hi, everybody. Well, it's the top of the order for the Mets in the 4th, as they have scored 6 runs on 9 hits to lead 6-1. And Wally is 1 for 2 with the single to left in the 2nd inning, a stolen base, and a run scored. Trying to bunt for a base hit, but fouled it off. Strike 1. Wally appears to be out of his mini slump. He entered the game 8 for his last 37, and a few of those hits came yesterday as he swung the bat a lot better, I thought, Tim, in the San Francisco series.
Yeah, he did. Making better contact. You know, I was thinking about this today. The Mets were going extraordinarily well from the 1st of July as you look at this big crowd on hand here in Labor Day single game.
2-1.
From the 1st of July to the middle of August. And I think what happened is those first 3 or 4 games when they fell off in their hitting, it kind of shocked them, and the momentum took an unusual course backwards from the way they were going, because they got to the point where they didn't think anybody could get them out. I mean, they were playing such baseball that you go to the ballpark and you knew they were going to win for 6 weeks.
And just did miss. 3-1.
And now all of a sudden they're not swinging the bats real well, and I think that momentum in that respect really carried him back a lot farther than it would normally do. They could snap out of it in 4 or 5 games, but it's been a considerably long time since they've had this type of offensive production in a ball game.
Backman walks on the 3-1 pitch, and as we were talking, if you were with us for yesterday's game in San Francisco, that game could have done a lot, and it, so far in this game, appears to have done a lot to turn that momentum around with Fernandez home run.
Yeah, it may be premature to say, but I don't think so. I mean, Hernandez came right out and said 2 ropes his first 2 times up for base hits. So he's certainly on the heels of that home run. That can do it to you. It just takes 1 blow.
Backman running on the first pitch, and he will go in there uncontested. What a jump he had, and that's going to cause Kennedy to go out and have a word with Gene Walter.
Yeah, as a catcher, you try to get the pitcher to hold him on, but that's a young pitcher's mistake. He doesn't know the league that well. He probably knows Backman runs fairly well, but Backman at second base and nobody out.
Wally's 2nd of the game and 24th of the year. Paciorek swung through the pitch, so it's strike 1. Tom is 1 for 2 with a single and a run scored. And he gets him with that down and in breaking ball again, 0-2.
I hope I explained that well. You know, usually you'll say if you lose 2 or 3 games in a row, you say, well, get them tomorrow. But when you're to the point where you don't think guys can get you out, and pitchers don't think guys can hit you, and you go into that little 3-game. It stuns you. It shocks you, and you're back on your heels, and you can't understand it.
Well, didn't the Mets go through that period of time without losing more than 2 games in a row, and only that one time?
That's right. That's exactly right.
So when you lose 3 or 4, you start thinking, or 3 or 4 or 6 out of 10 it might be over. But they have rebounded so far. That's the short. Templeton holds Backman and throws out Pachorik, and there's one away. And that'll bring up Keith Hernandez, who's 2 for 2, 2 runs scored and an RBI so far tonight. Keith faced a left-hander in Thurman his first time up, a right-hander in De Leon his second time up, and now another left-hander in Gene Walter his third time up. Not too often do you face 3 different pitchers your first 3 at-bats in a ball game.
But you're happy to do it.
Oh, yeah. Outside, ball 1.
You mentioned in your pregame interview with Keith that he was expecting a rest yesterday. Let me tell you something about a game-winning home run in a pinch-hitting capacity in August when you're against a tough left-hander. That's like a 2-week nap.
That's Rip Van Winkle time.
I guess for Rip Van Winkle, it would have been a nap, 2 weeks. But, I mean, really.
That can refresh you in a hurry.
Oh, man, can that make you feel great.
Pick you right up.
Woo, and pick your ball club up, and the Mets, as we said, it may be premature, but they're playing like they're picked up tonight. They're crushing some balls.
Yeah, they have come out really swinging. 2-0 the count to Hernandez. 1 out, Backman at second. And slow, Backman going to third, and he's out of there.
It's a little play on words, but Wally was not thrown out at third. He was thrown out at second because he didn't have the proper lead, and that's why it's so much tougher to steal with a left-handed hitter hitting, to steal third base, because you don't have that natural impediment of the right-handed hitter up there. It's clear as you see to Kennedy's left and your right. He can just come up firing.
Now 2 out, nobody on, and Hernandez gets his 3rd consecutive base hit in the left center field as Martinez comes up with it. And going back to the dramatic home run, Keith, 4 hits in his last 4 at bats.
The catcher, number 8, Gary Carter.
Yeah, good piece of hitting for Hernandez. 4 for his last 4, as you said, Steve. I remember one time I was thrown out at third base trying to steal third, and I came in the dugout and I was upset, and George Kissel, who was Mr. Everything with the Cardinals and a great guy and a great instructor and a great fundamentalist, came over to me. He said, "You weren't thrown out at third, you were thrown out at second." I said, "Huh?"
Say what?
What? And then he sat me down and he explained what he meant.
And I thought you explained it well. That's often a very difficult thing to do with a left-handed hitter. That's high. 2-0 to Gary Carter. Carter with 2 singles in 2 times up, a la Hernandez. Keith also with an RBI, or rather Gary also with an RBI. He drove in a run in the first inning. Foul. 2-1. Carter has hit a home run in each of the last 3 ball games, and now leads all National League catchers in home runs hit as a catcher.
Second, Ozzie Virgil and Bob Brenly with 17. Virgil hit his 17th today.
That missed low and away, and it's 3-1. Gene Walter at Phoenix, or rather at Las Vegas. Where are we? Las Vegas was 7-5 with a 2.75 ERA. And the Mets have seen him before as he appeared in the series in New York, albeit briefly. High fly ball into short left field. Martinez calls everybody off and makes the catch, and the inning is over. A hit and one left for the Mets in the fourth. They still lead at 6-1 over the Padres after 3.5, and we're back in San Diego after this for American Express. Steve Garvey leads it off for the Padres going to the bottom of the fourth inning. 6-1, New York leading. Sid Fernandez on the mound for New York as Garvey flied to shallow right center field to Darryl Strawberry his first time up. That one almost got away. Ball one. Sid has struck out 2. Both times it was Gary Templeton. He has walked 1 and allowed the 1 run on 2 hits. A run coming on a home run by Tony Gwynn in the first. And a fastball skied down the right field line. It's going to go into the stands and out of play. So the count 1-1. Roy Lee Jackson, who is scheduled to start the third game of this series, loosening up in the bullpen. Garvey came into the game hitting .315 over his last 32 games. And he's got 65 RBIs, second on the club. Terry Kennedy, the Padres leader, with 68. 2-1. Right through the fastball, 2-2. Sid has had a good fastball tonight when he has wanted to rush it up there.
When you know you have a good fastball, you know you have a good fastball when a man with 2,400 hits can't catch up to it when he's looking for it.
But Sid has had a little problem with the breaking ball tonight, and that is the book on Sid Fernandez. How tough he can be is almost directly proportional to how well he handles his curveball, and it's 3-2 to Garvey. And the fastball up and away. And Garvey, who rarely walks, draws a leadoff pass to open the fourth inning. I'm a little surprised they threw him a fastball on a 3-2 pitch.
Number 14.
5-run lead, you throw a fastball. You try to put it up on a tee and let him hit it as hard as he can. You don't want to walk him.
But he did. And here's Carmelo Martinez, who popped to short to end the first inning, entered the game hitting .303 against the Mets this year, and is a new papa today.
All right.
Natalie Michelle was born to Carmelo's wife this very day, Labor Day, 1985.
Pretty name.
Strike call.
Martinez from Dorado, Puerto Rico, and buddy, they played high school ball against each other. Luis De Leon in the game earlier. Both good volleyball players in high school. Kind of an unusual combination.
A hard smash that could be 2. Backman to Santana, double play. The Mets' second of the night.
See, that's what you want guys to do. You're not concerned about as much with guys putting a good part of the bat on the ball. But with a 5-run lead, you got to realize more than normal, or than you normally would, that you have 7 guys behind you and 1 in front of you. So let them hit it.
Nice play by Backman, who had to reverse his feet to make the throw to Santana.
I've said that often. Actually, you reverse the position of your feet. You reverse your feet. Here, I think I'll use my left foot on my right leg.
I like the expression, change your feet.
Yeah, change them, yeah.
Greg Nettles takes a strike. Nettles fly deep to right, but Short going all the way to the wall to haul it in. Pardon me while I change my feet here. And he skies this one into short center. Santana and Backman both circling, and I guess Wally's going to take it, and he does. So with the help of a double play, the leadoff walk was erased, and Fernandez faced the minimum here in the fourth. The Mets still lead at 6-1. Now here's a word for Royal Crown Cola. Steve Zabriskie along with Tim McCarver and Ralph Kiner coming to you from lovely San Diego, and equally enjoyable Jack Murphy Stadium. Named, of course, for the late brother of Mets radio broadcaster Bob Murphy, who was the sports editor of the paper here in San Diego for many years. Darryl Strawberry, George Foster, and Ray Knight to face Gene Walter here in the top of the 5th inning with the Mets on top 6-1. Strawberry has only had 3 RBIs in his first 2 at-bats, with a triple, a single, and a run scored, and he takes strike 1. Darryl now with an even 60 RBIs on the year. 1-1. And he's been wearing out the Padres, too. He's hitting .375 against them coming into the game. And, of course, is 2 for 2 already. One and two. Way outside of the picture even. 2 and 2. Darryl has hit 8 home runs of his 21 against left-handed pitchers this year. But he took strike 3. First strikeout for Walter, and only the second strikeout of a Met by Padre pitching tonight. 1 away in the 5th.
The left fielder, number 15, George Foster.
Well, we talk a lot of times about how that front shoulder against the left-hander, when you're a left-handed hitter, has to really be in there. And Darryl on the swinging strike and the taking strike, you can see him budge with that right shoulder. And this guy will make you budge. He's got me budging up here.
Foster with a slow roller to third, and Greg Nettles just nips him at first base. Another good play by Greg Nettles.
Well, it's just nice to see a man still quite competent at his position after a long time being out there. He has been a total professional throughout his career and is still going strong. No signs of letting up.
No, offensively or defensively.
No.
Ray Knight, the hitter. Knight is 1 for 2 with an RBI. Greg recently said when he had a birthday recently, his name changed. Filed away. He said before his birthday, his name was 40-year-old Greg Nettles. Now his name is 41-year-old Greg Nettles. Because every time they write anything about him, his name is preceded by his age.
He is a funny man. Master of the quip.
And a dry wit. 2 out and nobody on for Knight. Fouled away, and it's 0-2. Walter wants a different baseball. Two strikes to count, 2 out, nobody on. Fly ball and a lazy one at that into right field. Tony Gwynn there. And an easy inning, including a strikeout for Gene Walter here in the 5th. But the Mets still lead it 6-1 after 4.5. Now how about this for Burger King?
And Kevin McReynolds leads it off. Bottom of the 5th inning with the score 6-1 New York. All the scoring done in the first inning and a half. The Mets with 4 in the top of the 1st and 2 in the top of the 2nd, and the Padres with a home run by Tony Gwynn, the only run that they pushed across. Here's Kevin McReynolds. And he pops it up out of play and into the stand. Catcher and a first baseman or a catcher and a third baseman converging near the dugout, at least in this ballpark, Steve. You don't have to worry about the steps.
That's right. It's level with the ground, and you can just run on in if you need to.
Keep right on going. Put on your civvies and go back to the hotel. 2-1 to Kevin McReynolds. He flied to center his first time up. Fernandez has struck out 2. He has walked 2 and given up only 2 hits. And McReynolds can't catch up to that high rider. 1-2.
Well, we have a young man working on our crew here, Paul Vogel, who's our third base cameraman, who would like to say hi to his folks down in Clearwater, Florida, who watches on the satellite, and he says he's glad they survived the hurricane.
Oh, yeah.
Might be an understatement.
Clearwater, 20 miles from the Mets training camp in St. Pete. And this one popped up right side. Fernandez makes the catch, and there's one away here in the 5th. And the batter, Terry Kennedy.
Well, we want to remind you the beginning on Monday, September 9th, 1 week from this very evening, Britain's favorite funny man is back on American television. Don't miss the return of the Benny Hill Show. Weeknights at 7:30 starting September 9th, right here on Chanel number 9.
Kennedy singled to center his first time up. Curveball is outside. 1-0 to Terry Kennedy. Little cut fastball there. Well, the Dodgers have to be happy with these results here. The Padres entered tonight's action 6 games behind the Dodgers. LA beating Montreal 4-2 in the 8th now. 100 miles north of here. Another fastball and a beauty. 1-2 to Terry Kennedy.
And the Mets have an opportunity to be just 1 game behind the Cardinals as Cincinnati beat St. Louis 4-1.
Dave Parker with a 2-run home run. The winning pitcher, Tom Browning.
He's come on strong. He's 14-9 now.
Liked him the first time we saw him.
Yes, we did.
Shut out the Mets earlier this year 2-0. Joaquin Andujar, the loser, by the way. Popped up left side. Ray Knight, Carter. Jerry really down too far, I think. You know, when a third or first baseman want to field that ball, they don't want the distraction of having the catcher too close.
Number 3, Jerry Royster.
Especially when it's a fairly routine pop-up. There's really no need.
But you can't criticize a guy for enthusiasm, can you? And
no
Jerry,
such thing as over-hustle.
No, that's right. Davis is the on-deck hitter. Jerry Davis will be the pinch hitter should Jerry Royster get on. Jerry popped to first his first time up. Bob Patterson, the left-hander, warming. And a strike to Royster. Fernandez with 2 strikeouts has retired every other hitter on fly balls or pop-ups with the exception of 2 ground ball double plays. Kind of unusual.
Yeah, you know you're going fairly well, too, when the only 2 ground balls that you have hit off you are turned into double plays.
Only 2 chances for outs on ground balls, and both of them were double plays, and here we are with 2 out in the 5th inning. Fastball high, 2-1.
Here are the rest of the National League scores since we mentioned the others. Pittsburgh over Atlanta 5-4. Houston beat Chicago 7-2. And Philadelphia over San Francisco 4-3.
Get a guy like Fernandez as Royster takes the strike, throwing that high fastball. You feel like taking one of those closet ladders to the plate with you. You can get on top of it. Bob Gibson used to do the funniest routine with one of those little stools about how to get on top of the fastball. Hilarious. And Royster goes down on strikes. Not too funny for Jerry, but quite a laughing matter for the Mets, because after 5 it's 6-1 New York. Now here's a word from the Bell Atlantic Yellow Pages. Top of the 6th inning with the Mets leading 6-1. Rafael Santana will lead it off. Gene Walter, the third Padre pitcher. Mets scoring 4 runs off Mark Thurman in the first inning. He only worked a third of an inning. He was relieved by Luis De Leon. And after retiring the Mets on a ground ball and a flyout in the first, the Mets came back with 2 more runs in the second. High chopper. Nettles almost lost it in the light, but he recovers nicely to throw out Santana 1 away.
Yes, infielders, too, can have problems with the lights, not just outfield.
Especially these here at San Diego Stadium.
These are those rim jobs around the rim
The
of the
pitcher,
stadium.
Sid Fernandez.
Yep. About the only place that you won't have a problem here is down the right field line.
Fernandez has struck out twice. And he takes a slider for a strike, 0-1. Only 3 strikeouts for the Mets. And Fernandez has a couple of them, and he's in the hole 0-2. Terry Kennedy looked like he jammed the thumb of his catching hand with that ball in the dirt. Yep, that's exactly what happened. Sometimes when you go in to catch a ball like that, especially when you can't center it in the middle of the mitt, ball will take that thumb and just drive it back into your wrist. Nobody ever sees that. Fly ball hit deep to left, but Martinez there, 2 out. Most of a catcher's injuries, as a matter of fact, Steve, are those that are not seen. And that, more than any other thing, is the reason that catchers rarely hit for a high batting average.
Well, their hands and arms are so vulnerable, too, that most of the injuries are to those areas. And, boy, I don't know how you or any other catcher could do it over a long period of time, because it had to be that your hands were hurting more often than not when you were trying to hit.
Yeah, I don't mean to sound like something out of an Edgar Allan Poe story or anything, or not trying to be reeking with bloodlust, but you do become accustomed to it. I mean, pain is part of it. Not, you know, not trying to make martyrs out of catchers or anything. It's just a fact of life.
Well, you either become accustomed to it or you don't play the position.
Or you don't play.
Long.
That's right, because you can't go out there and catch 120 to 150 games a year without something hurting you most of the time. And I don't mean half the time. I mean most of the time. Ground ball to Walter on the 1-hopper. 7 in a row retired by the young left-hander. Fine job he's doing. However, the Mets lead 6-1 after 5.5. Now here's a word from Garcia Vega.
Feud comes to Channel 9. No, it's not the Hatfields and the McCoys. It's Family Feud. Beginning September 9th, Richard Dawson returns in America's favorite game show, Family Feud, premiering Monday, September 9th at 8:30, right here on Channel 9.
And a family that is not feuding is Barry and Monica Levine, who wants us to say hello to Nat Levine of Brooklyn. Happy 80th birthday to Nat. And a longtime Met fan. A big hello from Barry and Monica as Jerry Davis will pinch hit for Gene Walter.
Davis was hitting .286 at Las Vegas. And since being called up, he's hitting .308.
Bob Patterson, the left-hander, will be the pitcher in the 7th inning. 1-0 to Jerry Davis. And it's 2-0.
Davis is 4 for 15 as a pinch hitter.
There's a strike. You talk about a good eye for a young hitter. This young man right here, Padres with a good outfield, and he can't break into it, but he's got some remarkable statistics as far as his base on balls are concerned in the minor leagues. He won't swing at it if it's not a strike. It's 3-1. In 1981 at Salem, Oregon, he walked 161 times. You got it. 161 times in one season. Pops this one up to Wally Backman. That's almost unheard of with young players. Last year, he had 302 in Las Vegas in 129 games. He walked 103 times, struck out only 72 times.
That's a great ratio for a hitter.
He only walked 3 times intentionally last year. Boy. I mean, you don't see a young player like that who has a batting eye like young Jerry Davis, who I think is going to be some kind of player. I like him a lot. Well, Gary Templeton, who had struck out twice, lines one to Hernandez. 6 in a row retired by Fernandez. And with 2 out and nobody on, Tony Gwynn will be the batter.
Tony Gwynn.
Well, the Mets AAA Farm Club Tidewater defeated Richmond, which is the Braves AAA Farm Club, 7-6. So Tidewater moves into the International League playoffs. They'll face Maine in the first game on Wednesday.
Right. Tony Gwynn, a ground ball, and what a play by Fernandez. Boy, if that ball's through, it's a base hit, and then Sid almost waited too long to throw it to first.
Gwynn hustling all the way and running from the left side almost beats us. Now Sid's checking it out. Yeah, all the seams are in place, so I'll throw it over there. And look how close it is. Just a step.
Well, you like to see Tony Gwynn running everything out like that. Mets lead 6-1 after 6. And Ralph joins Steve after this word from Michelob Light.
Bob Patterson, who was 10-11 with a 3.14 ERA at Las Vegas in 42 ball games, will make his major league debut as we go to the 7th inning with the Mets leading at 6-1 and back into work the final 3. Once again, here's Ralph Kiner.
Okay, Steve, and Patterson will be pitching to the veteran Tom Paciorek as his first batter. Patterson in the minor leagues had a record of 31 wins, 27 losses, and 30 saves. And his first major league pitch, a fastball fouled back. Patterson was selected by San Diego in the 21st round of the June 1982 draft after attending East Carolina University. Ground ball to the shortstop, Templeton. And Gary with a good play, and Patterson has retired his first major league batter. Patterson making it to the major leagues in a hurry. Signed in 1982 and now here in 1985, pitching for San Diego. He was brought up when the roster went from 25 to 40 men. Now his next batter will be Keith Hernandez. Keith 3 for 3 in the game. 3 singles, 2 to right field and 1 to left field. And the Padres left-hander with that fastball. Appears to have a good fastball. There's Bruce Bereni, who has been activated by the Mets, throwing in the bullpen down in the right field area. 2 balls, no strikes.
Patterson's just 26 years old. He's out of Greenville, South Carolina. Went to East Carolina University before signing as a pro.
And another base hit for Keith Hernandez. 4 line drives here tonight. So that home run in San Francisco as a pinch hitter put him back on the track.
Well, it's almost, well, not commonplace, but it's certainly not shocking to see Keith Hernandez get 4 hits in a ball game, as he has done it far more than a couple of times in his career. And when he gets locked in, Ralph, he is as streaky as they come.
Nothing like a home run as a pinch hitter to get your strength back. Now the batter will be Gary Carter in the breaking ball for ball run. Keith went 4 hits against Atlanta back on July 4th. Hit for the cycle, a single, a double, a triple, and a home run. That was in an extra inning ball game. And when I say extra inning, should say it with a lot more emphasis. It was a 19-inning ball game. Won by the Mets.
Not only that, it was near 4 o'clock in the morning before it was over.
3:55 in the morning, the latest a game ever ended in Major League Baseball history.
Carter's not having a bad night.
2 for 3 in RBI. One ball, one strike. And the fastball fouled back. 1-2. Pitcher record, Mark Thurman, who started the ball game, lasted 1/3 of an inning, charged with 4 runs on 4 hits by the Mets. And a hard smash off into shallow left field after the ball was touched by Templeton. It should be a base hit. Hard hit ball, moving Hernandez down to second.
Templeton is such a fine shortstop that I'm sure many of the San Diego fans expected him to come up with this ball, especially when he got there. But it was so sharply hit, all he was able to do was to get just the webbing of his glove on it, as you see right there, and it was the kind of a shot that could have torn the glove right off your hand.
And it was scored as a base hit, so runners at first and second on 2 hits in a row, and Darryl Strawberry the batter. Darryl with a blanket-type night. Tripled to left field into the area down the left field corner, and then singled right down the right field line. So he has used up all that he can use here. Tonight's action. And the fastball fouled back. Darryl also was called out on strikes in the 5th inning, so he's 2 for 3. Mets now have 6 runs on 12 hits. The Padres 1 run on 2. And this ball hit out to left field. Coming up on it is Martinez. And Carmelo makes the play for the second out as Hernandez goes back to second base and Carter back to first. That'll bring up George Foster, who is 0 for 2 with a walk. Foster twice has been thrown out by Nettles, a third baseman. If the Mets hold on and win here tonight, they'll be just 1 game back of the Cardinals, who lost 4-1 to the Cincinnati Reds. Dodgers are leading Montreal 4-2 in the top of the 9th inning. So if the Dodgers win that ball game, the Padres will then drop to 7 games back in second place. And Foster looks at the fastball. Yankees 1 and Toronto 1, so Yankees 4 games back. Ball gets away from Kennedy, but Carter and Hernandez both hold as the ball bounces up toward third base. No chance for Hernandez to go to third.
If the Mets win here tonight, Ralph, and with that St. Louis loss, as you mentioned, not only will there be just 1 game difference, but the Mets will be even in the win column at 78, but 2 games back of the Cardinals in the loss column, which is not something you want to be.
And this ball fouled back. Well, here we are in September, so all of a sudden you start looking at that loss column because that's the, quote, all-important loss column, quote, unquote.
I'd say there were some other things that were pretty important other than that. But you're right, that seems to draw a great deal of attention.
And George loops it into right center field, a base hit. Fernandez comes in to score. Throw comes in to second base, and Keith Plating to give the Mets a 7-1 lead. And on the play, Foster puts Carter over at third base.
Foster had only driven in 5 runs in the last 18 ball games before this RBI right here, and George was 0 for his last 14. So he broke a little mini slump with not only the base hit, but the RBI as well.
So Patterson has been reached for his first major league run on 3 hits here with 1 man out. And it brings up Ray Knight. Ray with 1 hit and 3 times up tonight. And that's ball 1. Reason why that loss column is very important when you get down to the end of the line. If you haven't played enough games to be even in the loss column, you have to win all your games. No way in the world you can catch up unless you win. There's a high fly ball to deep left field. It could be gone. Back there is Martinez, and it is gone. Goodbye. 3-run home run by Ray Knight, and the Mets lead by a score of 10-1.
Well, Ray Knight has now driven in 4 runs tonight with this 3-run shot, his 6th of the year. I mean, he rudely greeted the young Mr. Patterson with a high, deep drive just inside the foul pole, or fair pole, as some would like to call it, as you see, just a few feet inside.
And now Santana, the only man not to have a hit beside the pitcher in this ball game for the Mets, grounds out on the next pitch, and that'll do it. But the Mets pick up 4 runs on 4 hits. They leave none in the score. At the end of 6.5 innings, the Mets 10, the Padres 1. Now here's a word from OTB.
Afternoon, October 5th. It's Fan Appreciation Day at Shea, when the Mets play the Montreal Expos at 1:35. And there's the good doctor reminding you that as a way of thanking the fans for their overwhelming support this season, the Mets and Purolator will give winter scarves to all fans, and a game-long giveaway will be staged throughout the day. The blue and orange scarf is a top quality item and a perfect addition to your winter wardrobe, courtesy of Purolator, the name to remember in Overnight Express. Prizes will be given to fans through a random drawing of ticket stubs collected at the gates, and one lucky winner will receive this Nissan pickup truck. Drive it away. Compliments of Nissan, the builders of high-performance, low-mileage cars and trucks for over 50 years. That's Fan Appreciation Day, Saturday afternoon, October 5th. The Mets and the Expos at Shea. And also, fans, as an added bonus, the first 40,000 adults through the gates that day will receive a 160-page book full of fantastic discounts and interesting articles about your favorites, the New York Mets. So we'll see you on Fan Appreciation Day, October 5th at Shea Stadium.
I'm right here at San Diego Jack Murphy Stadium. Jack, the brother of Bob Murphy, who does the Mets radio games and has been with the Mets since 1962. Sports editor of the San Diego Union, who died a couple of years ago. Instrumental in bringing Major League Football here when the San Diego Chargers were formed, moving down from Los Angeles. So with the Mets leading by a score of 10-1, the leadoff batter will be Steve Garvey, who has walked and also has flied out to center field. Garvey's walk was only his 30th walk of the year. Make that his 25th walk of the year. And he pops up to first pitch. Fernandez is there, and he has a little trouble with it, but comes up with it. So Keith Hernandez on one pitch, picking up the pop-up, 1 away.
Big stars and big money highlight the all-new $100,000 Pyramid, premiering September 9th. Test your skill with host Dick Clark, weeknights at 7, starting September 9th here on Channel 9.
Now the batter will be Carmelo Martinez, who is 0 for 2 tonight. The only run the Padres have, coming on a home run by Tony Gwynn, his 5th home run of the year. And they have only one other base hit, a single by Terry Kennedy up the middle back in the 2nd. Martinez with a count of 1 ball, no strikes, and it's ball 2. Well, the applause in the background, the fact that Montreal got 2 runs in the top of the 9th to tie their ball game with the Dodgers. So it's 4-4. Montreal in the top of the 9th inning. Padres 6 games back of the Dodgers, still in it in their battle for first place. 3 balls, no strikes to Martinez. Martinez had a home run, his 2nd official at bat in the major leagues. And he takes for ball 4. 3rd walk issued by Fernandez. And it brings brings up Greg Nettles.
Third baseman, Greg Nettles.
And again, we look at Bruce Bereni in the bullpen for New York. Just activated yesterday, and if Sid falters, we could see Bruce.
Nettles 0 for 2 tonight. Flied out to deep right in the second, popped up to the second baseman in the fourth. Has a 5-game hitting streak in jeopardy as he bats here and a called strike.
And talking, Ralph, about taking Fernandez out of the game, his fine performance tonight has almost been lost amid the offensive production that New York has come up with.
I'm sure he's happy he's got all these runs. They haven't scored runs for him at all. Most he's ever had in his major league career, 4 runs in a ball game. Lifetime record of 11 and 15 and some outstanding pitching. 2 strikes to the count to Nettles, who has 367 major league home runs, and he rips this one. Down the right field corner. Martinez being held at third as the throw comes in. So Martinez at third base on the double by Nettles. And the Padres with runners at second and third.
That pitch almost up in Greg's eyes, and boy, he jumped all over it for his 18th double of the year. Paciorek has to play it off that soft vinyl outfield fence. And Martinez wisely and appropriately held at third by Ozzie Virgil, with the Padres down by 9.
And the batter will be Kevin McReynolds. Kevin is 0 for 2 tonight.
It's only the 3rd hit for San Diego and their first hit since the 2nd inning.
Fernandez with that high fastball with a 2-strike count. Picking up his 2nd strike against Nettles with a good curve. Now he wants to talk to Gary Carter.
Sid has had a problem finishing games as you look at Greg Booker in the San Diego bullpen. But more often than not, Ralph, it's not necessarily because of fatigue or any other problem that he's had. It's what you just mentioned, the fact that the Mets have been unable to score runs for him, and even though he's pitched well, he's had to have been taken out for a pinch hitter.
And his fastball fouled back out of play. Sid has the best ratio of the fewest hits for 9 innings of work in a ball game of anybody in Major League Baseball. He has allowed only 6.1 hits for 9 innings. And he goes up high in the count, 1 ball, 1 strike. And in this ball game, he has given up 3 hits as he works here in the bottom of the 7th inning. And the curveball, 2 balls, 1 strike. Martinez is at third base, Nettles at second, 1 man out, Mets leading 10-1. And a good fastball. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Sid has been able to reach back tonight, and it's a good sign that he's also doing it here in the 7th inning and put a little bit extra zip on that fastball of his, and that was another indication of it.
2-2. And the fastball fouled back again. Sid has averaged 10.34 strikeouts per 9 innings. That's also the best in baseball. Here's a man who has the best strikeout average in baseball and the fewest hits allowed per 9 innings in baseball, and he's got a record of 5-8.
It seems like just about every club has one guy that they just don't score enough runs for.
And the fastball has popped up in foul territory. Carter back to look, and that's all he can do. Sid came into this game with an earned run average of 2.75. Kevin McReynolds. And Sid Fernandez to try again. And again, the 2-2 pitch. Fastball just inside, and that fills it out for 3-2. With the Mets leading by a score of 10 to run, the runners at second and third. Sid Fernandez with a count of 3 balls and 2 strikes. And it's a base hit to left field. 1 run will score, and that's all. Martinez comes in from third. Nettles goes over to third base. And it's now the Mets 10 and the Padres 2.
Well, McReynolds has been somewhat of a disappointment as far as the average for which he has hit this year, but this is his 65th RBI. And in that department, he has not disappointed, as he is now tied with Steve Garvey for second on the Padres in that department.
And the base hit brings up Terry Kennedy. Kennedy with 1 of the 3 hits. Make that 4 hits that the Padres have in this game. And the good curveball. Kennedy singled to center field in the second. Beautiful fastball in a perfect spot, and the count strike 2.
Well, he really tied Kennedy up that time. High and tight. These big guys with long arms hate that ball in there.
Right to the curveball. It gets by Carter. Nettles comes in to score on the wild pitch. And the Padres now have their 3rd run, and they're within 7.
Sid's breaking ball can be his undoing. And this one bounces in front of Carter and goes right over Gary's left shoulder. Even though Carter slid out there in an effort to block it, here you'll get a view of how far in front of Carter the ball hit. Sort of an in-between hop. Went right over his shoulder and all the way back.
And on that wild pitch, McReynolds goes down to second base. And the next delivery, a fastball popped up in foul territory. Ray Knight has plenty of room, and he makes the catch. 2 men away. That wild pitch, incidentally, only the second thrown by Fernandez this year. So McReynolds holding at second base, 2 men out, and the batter will be the second baseman, Jerry Royster.
Number 3, second baseman.
To a certain degree, Ralph, that's amazing that it's only his second wild pitch, because Sid, of course, as Mets fans know, has been prone to control problems. And usually a pitcher who has that problem is prone to throw wild pitches.
He throws an awful lot of breaking balls that are big breaking balls, and quite a few in the dirt. Kurt Bavacqua in the on-deck circle for San Diego, their number 1 pinch hitter. Mets leading 10-3, 2 men away, bottom of the 7th inning. And Royster takes, it's a strike. Royster 0 for 2, he has struck out. Fernandez has only 3 strikeouts in this game. Royster has not had a hit against the Mets this year. He's 0 for 10, and he grounds this one foul. Sid opting for number 50 when he wanted his uniform selection number for the 50th state, Hawaii, and also his favorite program, Hawaii 5-0. Lives in Kaneohe on Oahu.
And in fact, Sid's grandparents are here from the islands, making the West Coast swing with the ball club, and in the park tonight watching Sid pitch. And of course, they brought a load of pineapples with them. Sid passed a few out to his teammates.
Well, they had, when I was stationed at Kaneohe in Oahu, we were right next to a, what do you call a pineapple ranch, I guess?
Plantation, I think.
Plantation? Ate so many pineapples, didn't want any for about 10 years. The 2-strike pitch struck him out. Fernandez picks up his 4th strikeout in the inning. The Padres get 2 runs on 2 hits, 1 walk, and 1 man left on base. The score at the end of 7. The Mets 10 and the Padres 3. Now here's a word from McDonald's.
Us on Channel 9. When the New York Mets hit L.A. to take on the Dodgers. Don't miss the action next Sunday afternoon at 4. New York at L.A. right here on Channel 9.
Well, we could invite you to be in L.A. Of course, you have to pay your own way.
That's right.
And Sid Fernandez to start off here in the top of the 8th, and the fastball is missed.
Well, Sid's doing something tonight, Ralph, that pitchers really like. He's getting 4 at-bats.
Boy, he hasn't done that very often. He's got 1 complete game, and that was a losing game in Montreal. If that pitcher bats 4 times, you know he's pitching well, at least in the National League. And the fastball.
If a pitcher bats 4 times in the American League, you know he's playing a different position.
Just did foul it, so he's still alive. Mets scored first when they got 4 runs in the first inning. When Mets players have scored first in the ball game, they have been very, very good. They have won 55 and lost 15, winning 79% of their games. And this one head down to Nettles, a tough one that it cannot be handled by Nettles, and Fernandez should get a base hit. He's going to go for 2. Look at this. They got him. Well, Sid had a 3-base hit earlier this season, but this time he doesn't make it to second.
This has a lot of funny spin on it as it's hit off to the left side by a left-handed hitter. Nettles keeps looking, and then when he gets to the ball, he says, he's really going. And he fires one to Royster to just get Fernandez at second base.
That one got to Nettles at third base. It came all over him.
It was like a buzzsaw.
It is Terry Leach, the right-hander, and Tom Gorman, the left-hander, now throwing in the bullpen for the Mets. That's scored as a base hit. The Mets 15th. So Sid comes up with a base hit, and now Santana, the only man not to hit in this batting order. Wally Backman takes a fastball for a called strike. Wally in the game 1 for 3. And this was not the right field. Tony Gwynn comes in. 2 men away.
Well, young Bob Patterson got battered pretty badly in the 7th inning, but he's benefited here by the play at second to get the first 2 hitters out.
So 2 men away, and Tom Paciorek the batter. Tom 1 for 4, a single in the first to start the big rally that gave the Mets a 4-0 lead. 1 strike to count. Paciorek grounded out against Bob Patterson, who came in this game in the 7th inning. First man that Patterson has pitched to in Major League Ball. Now a base hit in the right center field. Paciorek rounds at first base and holds there as Gwynn fires it in. Ball cut off by Royster, and Paciorek holds at first base.
And another good play by Tony Gwynn. Tim mentioned earlier that because of his hitting, his defense is often overlooked, but he is an outstanding outfielder. And he cut this ball off, or Paciorek would have been at second base.
So Tony Gwynn, an outstanding basketball player, and when haven't basketball players been good defensive players? Seems to go together. Have to have outstanding coordination to be a basketball player. That brings up Keith Hernandez. Keith 4 for 4 tonight, a chance to have his 5th base hit. He has had a 5-hit game this year. And it's strike 1.
Tonight, Keith has gotten 4 hits for the 4th time this season. And as you mentioned, Ralph, 1 5-hit game.
There's the Goose. He's been on the disabled list. He's been reactivated. Hasn't pitched in a long time. 1 ball, 1 strike. Hernandez greeted Bob Patterson with a single. Patterson giving up his first Major League base hit to Keith Hernandez. No disgrace there.
You got that right. Especially to a guy who's 4 for 4 on the night.
In 1 2/3 innings, Bob Patterson has given up 6 hits. Now a fastball. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Paciorek, the runner at first base, 2 men away. Mets leading by a score 10-3. And the breaking ball fouled into the stands.
Well, there's just another fine example of how Keith Hernandez protects away with 2 strikes on it, and how he's able so many times to foul those balls off that are really pretty good pitches on the part of the pitcher.
2-2 the count to Keith. And it's drilled to right. Going, gone, goodbye. A 5-for-5 night. Supposed to have fireworks tonight, but they've had them in this ball game.
The fireworks are going to be anticlimactic because they've already come off of New York bats, most of them off of the bat of Keith Hernandez. If you look in the dictionary and look up the term line drive home run, there should be a picture of this shot right here. I mean, that ball got out of here in a hurry, and you talk about a guy being locked in. We have to keep going back to that 9th inning pinch hit home run yesterday in San Francisco, but that seemed to turn Keith Hernandez around.
And now the batter will be Gary Carter, and the fastball for ball 1. Talk about a major league debut. Bob Patterson has been reached for a ton of base hits, and this one grounded foul. He has been reached for 6 runs in 1 2/3 innings. And a total of 7 base hits.
Hernandez is now the first Met ever to have 2 5-hit games in one season. Wally Backman had a 5-hit game earlier this year, so he's the 3rd Met to do it this year. Actually, he's done it twice, so it's the 3rd time a Met has done it this year.
Carter in this game is 3 for 4, so he's had a big night. Patterson's earned run average will have to be infinity, I'd have to believe.
And overload the computer.
And another one hit a ton. Is it fair or foul? It is foul. Patterson going to wonder what major league hitters are all about in his debut here tonight. He was 10-11 at Las Vegas with 6 saves and a total of 42 ball games. Another one hit hard, way back, and back there, though, is Martinez, and he hauls it in, and that ends the inning. The Mets get 2 runs on 3 hits, and they leave none. And the score at the end of 7.5 innings, the Mets 12 and the Padres 3. Now, here's a word from Ivory. Marco Polo. Ken Marshall stars as a famed explorer in a 10-hour miniseries with special guests Anne Bancroft, John Houseman, and Burt Lancaster. Marco Polo beginning tomorrow night at 9 on Channel 9. Well, we're going to the bottom of the 8th inning. The Mets leading by a score of 12-3. They have 12 runs on 17 hits. They made no errors. Padres have 3 runs on 4 hits and no errors. And coming back in for the play-by-play, Steve Zabriskie.
Thanks, Ralph. Pinch hitting time for the San Diego Padres. Bobby Brown, the veteran, is going to pinch hit for young Mr. Bob Patterson, who was soundly thrashed in his major league debut. Bobby hitting only 164, no homers and 5 RBIs, 6 for 34 as a pinch hitter.
Wears a T-shirt that has across the front, "Help feed my kids, support the DH." He is some character.
Good fastball from Sid, but it's outside. And the count 2-0.
Brown went to spring training with the New York Mets, but the Mets didn't sign him. He then went over to the Yankees. Been around a while.
Skied to right. Paciorek near the line, and shallow, 1 away.
The shortstop.
Well, Sid has gotten a little help from his friends tonight. leading 12-3 with 1 out in the 8th. And here's Gary Templeton, whom he has handled quite handily. He has struck Templeton out twice and got him to hit a soft liner to Fernandez his last time up.
Sid with 4 strikeouts tonight.
That's out of play.
Templeton, a tough man to strike out. He gets that bat in the ball. First man to have 100 hits batting right-handed and 100 hits batting left-handed in a single season. The only other to do it, Willie Wilson of Kansas City.
And Fernandez ahead of him now, 0-2. Sid with those 4 strikeouts tonight now has 143, and he moves ahead of Mike Krukow into 5th place temporarily in the National League. Templeton just punches it out of there. So the count holds at 0-2.
Padres have now drawn 1,933,463 paid admissions this year. Second best ever in their history.
1-2. 1 out, nobody on here in the 8th inning. Again to shallow right field. Backman this time now being called off by Paciorek, and properly. Tom makes the catch, 2 out.
Right fielder, Tony Gwynn.
Tony Gwynn got the first Padre run with a home run in the 1st inning. Since then, he's grounded into a double play and hit one back to Fernandez that Sid made a good play on to retire him in the 6th inning. That's high, ball 1. Tony came into the game tied for 5th in the National League in batting average at .308, behind Willie McGee's league-leading .368. Of course, McGee had at least 1 hit in that game in which the Cardinals were beaten by Cincinnati, because McGee had a home run to account for the only Cardinal run. Fought it off, but it's right at shortstop Rafael Santana, and the inning is over. 3 in a row, retired to the 8th by El Cid, and he and the Mets lead big over the Padres, 12-3 after 8. Now here's a word from Nissan.
Center fielder, Darryl Strawberry.
Bobby Brown stays in the game to play right field as a double switch is made, and the goose is in there. Rich Gossage in to pitch the 9th for San Diego.
And Gossage with a record of 2-2, an earned run average of 1.77.
Darryl Strawberry, the first batter to face him.
Gossage with 21 saves, back in action again.
And a high, towering fly ball to short center field. Just about a whole ball club could run under it by the time it comes down, and Templeton, backing into center fielder Kevin McReynolds, makes the catch. Gossage not in a typical role with the Padres down by 9 here in the 9th, but in need of the work, and so Dick Williams getting him in there. Here's George Foster, who is 1 for 3 with an RBI and a run scored. And that's ball 1. I'll tell you, the goose, just from the sound, is popping that mitt.
He hasn't pitched since July 30th. He underwent surgery on his right knee.
Strike called, 1-1.
Repair a torn cartilage. That surgery took place on August 1st.
Foster went too far, says John McSherry, and it's 1 ball, 2 strikes. Gossage hasn't pitched in all that time, and he is still 3rd in the National League in saves with 21, behind Jeff Reardon's league-leading 33. Slider outside, 2-2. Goose was having a great year, and his loss obviously contributed somewhat to the Padres' demise in the National League West. Again outside, 3-2, although they certainly are not out of the race by any means.
He pitched batting practice the other day, and the batters went up wearing batting helmets.
Fastball fouled back by George, still 3-2. I'll tell you, I think about putting the catcher's gear on to hit against him. Ball 4. So Foster walks for the second time in the ball game. And he'll be at first base with 1 out for Ray Knight. Knight with a good night. 4 RBIs and a 2-for-4 night, including a home run. Ray now at 33 RBIs and 6 homers on the year. And that caught the corner, 0-1. Foul on a play. 0-2. Ray's 3-run home run, his last time up in the 7th off rookie Bob Patterson. Just a few feet inside the left field foul line. That's outside, 1-2. He punches one out of the strike zone, out of play.
Gossage has thrown more sliders this year than he ever did. He's lost a little off his fastball, but that slider has made him very, very difficult.
Especially because it's such a hard slider.
He stays close to his fastball speed with that slider. That's a real slider.
Grounded up the middle and a base hit into center field. Knight's 3rd hit of the evening. And McReynolds bobbles it just momentarily, but no chance for anyone to advance. Foster at 2nd. Knight at 1st. Still only 1 out. And Rafael Santana
Number 3
will be the hitter. That is the 18th base hit for New York tonight.
And the only man not to have one you're looking at. Rafael Santana is 0 for 4.
And he grounds one to short. It could be an inning-ending double play, and is. A 6-4-3 DP ends the 8th inning. The Mets get a base hit and a walk and leave one, but still lead the Padres 12-3, going to the bottom of the 9th after this for Manufacturers Hanover. Bottom of the 9th, and the Padres trail by a mere 9. As the Mets have wrapped out 18 base hits to lead 12-3, and Sid Fernandez has handled the Padres on a 4-hitter so far. He'll be facing Steve Garvey, Carmelo Martinez, and Greg Nettles in the 9th inning. Garvey tonight is 0 for 2 plus a walk. He has flied to shallow center and popped out in foul territory to Keith Hernandez. A ball high. Foul back. 1-1. Sid has struck out 4, walked 3, thrown a wild pitch, given up 3 earned runs on 4 hits and 1 home run, and is going after complete game number 2.
And his first complete game win. His other was a losing effort.
Off-speed breaking ball, and it's 1-2. That breaking ball missed, and no, says Charlie Williams. Garvey did not swing, so the count 2-2.
Umpires in sports clothes don't look as formidable as they do with their blue suits on.
Especially Billy Williams. He looked like he's ready to tee off on the first tee there. Fouled away. In case you joined us late and are wondering why the umpires are dressed thusly, they obviously came. There's Billy at 3rd. What's the tee-off time tonight? Even looks like he has golf shoes on.
Could have.
Strikeout number 5 for Sid Fernandez, and 1 out in the 9th inning. The umpires made it here, but their luggage did not. How John McSherry got his gear in a blue jacket, I'll never know, because there's no way Big John's going to find somebody to borrow umpiring gear from.
You might be able to use Eric Greggs.
That's true. But Eric's half a country away. Eric's doing the Atlanta Pittsburgh series.
Dodgers are now in the 11th inning. It's tied at 4 with Montreal.
And if you haven't heard, Cincinnati defeated St. Louis today 4-1.
Strike call to Carmelo Martinez, and it's 1-1. Martinez, a new daddy today.
Yankees won 8-7 over Seattle. Toronto won 3-2 over Cleveland. Yankees still 4 games out.
2-1 now.
Kansas City beat the White Sox 3-2. California won.
So that race remains the same as well. California won 11-1 over Detroit, as a matter of fact.
See where they just gave Sparky Anderson an extension on his contract. In spite of the year not being a great success after being the world's champions last year, defeating the Padres in the World Series.
3-2 now to Martinez. Well, at least they're not panicking in Detroit. Is this the unofficial cheerleader?
Not getting a whole lot of response.
No.
The crowd's still here because there will be fireworks after the ball game. Labor Day celebration.
Ball 4. Martinez walks for the second straight time. Sid has now walked 4 on the night.
Third baseman, Greg Nettles.
And the batter will be Greg Nettles. Greg is 1 for 3. He doubled and scored in the 7th inning. One of only 4 Padre hits and 3 Padre runs. Martinez not being held on at first base as Nettles holds up, and it's ball 1.
Nettles with 367 career home runs.
And if you were with us when the Padres were in New York recently, you saw some great shots by director Bill Webb and our fine Shea crew of Nettles' sons. 2 of his 3 boys there with him, serving as bat boys. And a crowd gets on somebody in the upper deck right above us who booted that foul ball. 1-1. They haven't had enough to cheer about tonight. They were looking for a great play on that one. Greg asking for time.
And if you're wondering whether Nettles holds the record for the most home runs by a third baseman, he does not.
He's a ways away from Mr. Matthews.
Eddie Matthews.
And again, Nettles holds up. 2 balls, 1 strike.
Matthews hit 512 home runs in his major league career, but quite a few of the home runs were not as a third baseman.
Still a ton of homers. That time, John McSherry said Nettles did offer the pitch, so it's 2-2. And it was another good fastball from Sid. Fernandez still looking pretty strong here in the 9th inning. Foul back right below us. We've had one over our heads and one under our feet. He's zeroing in. Two and 2 to Greg, 1 out. Martinez at first base. We're in the 9th inning with the Mets leading 12-3.
Matthews hit 486 home runs as a third baseman.
Breaking ball just misses, and now the count is full. Now down 12-3, Ralph, and not being held at first base, and a 3-2 count with 1 out. If you were Martinez, would you run?
I would have him run, but I don't think he will. I'll stay out of the double play.
I'd go right on down to second base. It's academic now. That ball's in the corner, and just fair. Pachorik chases it into the bullpen. Martinez being waved home, and he will score. Nettles with his second consecutive double of the night drives in the fourth San Diego run.
Nettles hitting a high fastball for the first double, and now another fastball for the second. He has 19 two-base hits for the year with this one, and he picks up an RBI, his 49th of the season. So Nettles, a good night, 2 for 4 with a run batted in.
And the batter now, Kevin McReynolds, who is 1 for 3. And McReynolds can't catch up to the fastball, strike 1. McReynolds singled to left to drive in a run in the 7th inning when the Padres scored 2. After not scoring since Gwynn's home run back in the first. Now 12-4, New York leading. And the fastball just foul outside third. So it's 0-2.
Well, the Mets have an 8-run lead, but Davy Johnson has action going in the bullpen as Doug Sis starts to throw.
What's that Boy Scout motto? Be prepared. And a high fastball fouled back. Still 0-2. Sid trying to beat the Padres for the first time ever in his career, a young career it is. He was 0-3 so far. A breaking ball high and away, 1 ball, 2 strikes.
He's also trying to pitch 9 innings for the first time in his major league career. He's had 1 complete game, but it was a losing effort, and he only pitched 8 innings in that.
And the fastball fouled away, still 1-2.
Sid trying to pick up his 12th victory in the major leagues. He's lost 15. His first loss came as a Dodger pitcher against San Francisco.
Well, statistically and every other way, Sid's a much better pitcher than his 5-8 record this year would indicate. And he's finally gotten some support tonight, and what a breaking ball to get Kevin McReynolds looking. Strikeout number 6 for Fernandez.
Sid hasn't had his good curveball tonight, but this is a good one here. He has struck out 13 in the game twice. 1 time against Cincinnati and 1 time against Philadelphia. And here he gets his 6th strikeout, and he's 1 out from that first complete game that has gone 9 innings.
And Terry Kennedy will stand in for the Padres. 1 for 3 on the night with a single to center way back in the 2nd. Since then, he has popped out in foul territory to third baseman Ray Knight twice. And the high heater is too high. Ball 1.
Kennedy's always hit the Mets well. He's got a lifetime batting average coming into this game of .320 with 8 home runs.
But this year, he's been under 200. So that shows you how well he hit the Mets in the past.
Now this year he came in hitting .194 against the Mets.
And it's a fly ball, and no, it isn't even going to get out of the infield. Again, he pops up tonight, and the game is over. Sid Fernandez picks up his first complete game victory in the major leagues. Only his 2nd career complete game, and only his 6th victory of the year against 8 losses, even though he came into the game with a fine 2.75 ERA. And after not getting runs for Sid throughout his young career with the Mets, scored 12 for him tonight as he goes the distance for the victory. The losing pitcher is the starter, Mark Thurman, who only went a third of an inning and is now 6th inning. Ralph and I are right back, so stay with us from San Diego. The Mets win at 12-4. Now here's a word from Michelob Light.